You want to start or you want me to?
You can.
Okay. Right? Three, two, one. So today, Traver and I are going to talk about this upcoming podcast series that we would like to start doing. Um, kind of as a kind of trying to find some alignment between Synergize and Nexus Impact Center and see where some of talk about where some of our missions align and we can work together between the Nexus community and the Synergize community
Absolutely.
to hopefully bring value and opportunities to both of our networks. Um, so that's kind of what episode one's about.
Yeah,
What do you, am I
absolutely.
missing anything?
I think that's good. Yeah, just help and see how we're both focused on impact and impact on lives and the community, and so kind of birthed out of that conversation between Synergize and Nexus, and say what could we do with this, and we said let's do a podcast. So here we are.
Yeah. So theory to practice. So what is the thing? What is the podcast actually going to look like um to achieve that?
Yeah. So we are going to, the hope and the plan is that we will be in dialogue, the two of us, but then different times we'll bring in various members of the Synergize community, the Nexus community, and hear about the impact that they're doing. We want to promote those members and those businesses and nonprofits, for profits, and kind of just raise awareness for them, but also to talk more about what that impact and is that we are having within our communities, but specifically that they're having as well.
Yeah, that sounds very noble. I'm very selfish, so mine's a little different. Selfishly, I just love to get to know people and I love to
Yeah,
learn their stories and build friendships with people. And
absolutely.
I feel like not everybody gets to know each other the same way I get to know people
Yeah,
or the way others get to know each other. So my hope is uh, that it just kind of creates a place where people get the opportunity to be seen and known and understood, more as if they're friends with each other,
right.
less scripted, not as scripted, not as much trying to push specific things on the podcast, but more as an opportunity to just discover themselves and
Yeah,
discover us, and we all get to like learn about each other and hopefully those that listen get to know people that maybe they know of, but
hmm,
get to know them in a deeper way or
yeah,
meaningful way. And hopefully it can spark and bridge conversations and relationships because of the podcast that maybe wouldn't have happened with one another
yeah,
had
yeah,
the podcast not kind of sparked the interest and curiosity between people.
for sure. Well, I think uh, as you were talking about that, I mean, when you think of impact, so much of impact comes from relationships.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what
I
Synergize
think
is all
all
about. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
there can be a lot of intention without relationship, but
Yeah.
I think that relationship's the key that opens intention to actual impact. It can be
Yeah.
positive or negative, but yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, yeah, you guys at Synergize are all about obviously relationships over everything.
over.
And for us at Nexus, we want that within our own community as well, and those that are in our space as a co-working and office space. And so, yeah, I think that looking at relationships and how relationships are uh, making that impact and can have that impact, and uh, I think an impact in the what they're doing, but impact in the what could happen and what could be. So it's not just what has been and what is, but the potential that's there as
Yeah.
well. Which I know is kind of
Is
what
that
you
what
said
your
too.
members want? Do you know if that, do you believe that that's what your members are looking for? Whether they know it or not, do you?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that everybody would say that in those words, but yeah, absolutely. I think That's you always have to be looking at the future, especially in business. Where are you going and what are you wanting to accomplish? And so with our members and specifically our tenants in this building and in this space, they have to have impact in order to have an office here. And so for that,
What do you mean by that?
they have to have some type of social impact.
Really?
So,
So
with
every
that,
member here that has an office here,
yep. And a lot of our coworkers do as well. Not all of
impact
them,
is a
but
pillar of why they show up to work every day.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And so it has to be one of those that isn't just the impact that we've had or the impact that we're doing, but in order for their businesses to continue, it has to be future. It has to be that proactive. What are we doing? How are we continuing to have impact and not just, well, we did it. Great. If they did it and that's it, then they're done.
Yeah. Yeah. So how can that impact create ripples and
Exactly.
amplify or increase the impact?
Yep.
Huh. What impact are you guys here at Nexus? Not from the members' perspective, but from your guys' perspective, from the leadership of this organization. What impact do you hope that your leadership makes, given that you're the ones in this position and not somebody else?
Yeah. It's a little unique because of the fact that as an organization and as a nonprofit ourselves, our impact is for the members, and we do want to have our own impact as well. But a lot of it is creating a space for them to flourish.
Okay.
But
So your direct impact is into them, but also empowering them to amplify or multiply their impact.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we do want to have our own impact as well, because it's hard to help hold somebody else accountable if you're not going to do it as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And so
That's hypocrisy.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's not
Exactly.
it's actually really easy to hold somebody else accountable when you're not going to do it yourself.
Yeah.
It's not hard at all. It's just hypocrisy. You just don't want to be a hypocrite.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
It's easy to be a hypocrite though.
It really is. It really is.
Sometimes I hate to admit, sometimes it's fun and easier and like it seems better. Now, ultimately it ends up not being better.
Right.
But at the time, being a hypocrite sometimes is a lot easier. And
on the fourth,
yes,
it's a lot easier.
How long have you been struggling with being a hypocrite?
Wow. No, but
how old are you?
I'm 43.
Okay, so for 43 years.
Yeah. Well, I think it is one of those though that as we look at it as an organization on our end,
okay,
I think in helping other people in order for us to continue to have impact as Nexus, I mean, it's part of our name, Nexus Impact Center. But as we continue to help others, one of the things that one of the questions that we're continually asking is, what is our impact?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're still in some ways figuring that out. It is a moldable thing for us because of who we have in this space. Members don't always stay the same. So, and as we get different tenants and different members coming in, the businesses and types of businesses that are represented are fluid. And so some of that change or some of that impact, some of that change agent or impact base that we want to have can be fluid because of who's here. And so somebody might need something, one type of industry might need something, or somebody we may have right now, I think we have 4 or 5 home care businesses.
Okay.
And some are just starting and some have been around for multiple years. Mm-hmm. And so even in the way that and the timing of when they started, whether somebody's in a startup or a continuing and thriving business, they're going to need different things. And so what we provide can fluctuate and be fluid because of where people are in their business and the type of business that they have. But that's where having those relationships is important, because we want to get to know them in order to know where are they, what are the needs that they have. So that relationship is important, so that we can know what type of impact can we be looking at and focused on and striving towards.
Yeah, there's a quote. What got you here won't get you there. Where you're going. What got you to where you are,
Yeah,
won't always get you to where you're going. So, it sounds like you guys are constantly looking at how to reevaluate and reinvent what it means to be Nexus Impact Center. And it's a collective reinvention of what it means to be an impact-driven business,
yeah,
which is a member of yours. So
right.
as they evolve and reinvent themselves and try to lead the marketplace in a way that shows that when you focus on not only trying to achieve for yourself, but as you achieve and become successful, that you are to contribute to helping others become successful
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
It gives you guys new and different ideas of what that's like in your own lens.
Exactly. And helping people see
Your foot on your just
why it's also helping people see some of the impact that they are having, even if they don't see it. So I know our coworkers don't have to have that social impact focus. And I know one of our guys is like, I'm in my business to make money. And yeah, I care about people, but that's not what my business is. But as you see him interacting with other members, he wants what's best for them.
Yeah.
And so he's actually having impact, even though he might not necessarily see it, because he's saying, well, and he and I have had discussions, and he said, how can I help you do what you do and do it better? Even if it's just a sounding board. And things like that, where it's like helping people see you actually have impact because of the relationship. And so, yeah, the business that has him here working out of our space may not have social impact, but he in his own way is having impact, and social impact within the community because of the things that he enjoys. And I want to help people. I want to help people think through this and through that as they're starting their businesses and doing XYZ. And it's like, dude, you may not be here for social impact, but you're actually having social impact because of the focus on relationships.
Yeah. So with Synergize, every month we spotlight a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And at first, when I first started thinking through some of the Synergize model and some of the things that we're doing, I would look at nonprofits as these heroes who they exist to directly impact the lives of people that they feel called to serve.
Yeah.
And but there's so many pieces to that. The person that owns a successful company and can make a $50,000 a year contribution into that nonprofit, which then empowers those that are part of the nonprofit to use that money to provide food or shelter or help or education to those who would not have it otherwise. You've got that very capitalist mindset of somebody who maybe the only thing that they feel like maybe they're great at or even understand is how to build a profitable company.
Yeah.
And then, but their decisions. So I see impact, a lot of the impact that we make in our relationships and our lives is based on the decisions that we make. So you think of when I think about like Carnegie and Rockefeller and JP Morgan and all of them, they spent a lot of years of their life focusing on how much could they achieve, how much could they acquire, how much, like all of these types of things, and trying to almost like competing to try to be the the wealthiest man in the world, right? And towards the last few years of their life was when they began to use what they knew and what they had acquired to actually now try to help the most people, contribute the most, give the most, right?
Yeah.
So some people come to that perspective, like you got somebody who maybe doesn't have a lot of money or doesn't really have a ton of opportunity, but they are so determined to try to make a difference in the world. So they start a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And then there may be somebody else who doesn't really know what they're passionate about serving or helping, but it is something that's kind of important to them. But what
Right.
they're really good at is acquiring money and being able to provide a for-profit or a non-social impact focused business, and they become a larger profitable company.
Yeah.
Um, and then when the relationship happens between the person who maybe has given their life to trying to serve and to help others, but never really had a lot of resources to do a lot, their heart was maybe bigger than their checkbook.
Yeah.
And the relationship and friendship happens between that person and the other person who maybe has always had something in their heart to want to help, but they've never really known how, but they've got a pretty nice checkbook now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That relationship there can then spark the opportunity for uh, both the one that has the funds and the other person who's got a heart to serve.
Yeah.
And together collectively, they can put together their resources. One got capacity and the heart and the initiative to make a difference. And the other one's got financial resources. You combine those together and you can start to change the world for people. One thing that I think because our world is a lot of times so siloed and echo chambered, is, those that are looking to just make a difference in the world. And they're very purpose driven leaders. They a lot of times spend their time in these kind of more siloed relationships with other purpose driven leaders. And then some of these others who are very, how do I maximize what I get from the marketplace? They spend a lot of time mentoring and peer-to-peer mentorship and just spending time with others who think like them.
Yeah.
And what happens a lot of times, I think, is those that are kind of purpose-driven leaders and then those that are kind of like building-driven leaders don't always have the opportunity to find one another. So instead, they just kind of live they each operate in their own individual ways.
Yeah.
But sometimes when those parallels can intersect, and to me, relationship is that part that if the parallels intersect because of relationship, you end up providing one another blind spot, some blind spot advice or some direction or straight up resources to one another. And then you start to see that I always say like, I'm a very much a capitalist mindset. But I am very much a socialist heart set, right?
Okay.
So it's like I desire to see every person give and contribute and add to the collective good in the world.
Yeah.
So it's very much kind of that idea of like, everybody should, bless and help others and right. But at the same time, I also have a very capitalistic mindset in the terms of you can want for yourself or want to do good for others as much as you want. But if you don't get up and be willing to fall on your face and put in the effort to try to achieve that or try to advance that, nothing's going to happen. So some people are always like, you look to government or you look to friends or you look to a trusted mentor, or you look to education or you look to a job or you look and there's a lot of different places you can look to.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes when we look to contributing to those around us and they look to contributing to those around them, there's this analogy, a rising tide raises all boats. And to me, that's kind of the circles and the groups that you're in. And are the people that you are spending time with, are they challenging you, empowering you, and guiding you to become and evolve into the version of you for yourself and for those around you that you desire to be?
Yeah.
Or are they kind of enabling you to remain the version of yourself that you've gotten to so far?
Right.
But again, that quote I said earlier, what got you here doesn't always get you to where you're going.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that you just go around and just start weeding people out of your life.
Right.
To me, I think
Yeah.
everybody is worth relationship.
Right.
But to the depth or the extent or the capacity of what each relationship is in your life, there will be some that I feel like are designed to be part of your life for certain reasons. For others, like my closest relationships, like with my wife, with my kids, those are my closest ones.
Yeah.
But the dynamic of my relationship with my wife is one way.
Yeah.
The dynamic of my relationships with each of my boys is a different way. My oldest son, Xavier, he make a terrible Edison, but makes a great Xavier.
Yeah.
And Edison would make a terrible Xavier, but he makes a great Edison. And then my wife, she'd make a terrible kid for me, like a terrible child of mine.
Yeah.
But she makes an amazing wife. And just sometimes understanding that that different people in your life, like each person is designed to play a key role in our lives. And in the marketplace, a lot of times we have this perception that every relationship that I'm looking for needs to play a client-customer relationship. And what happens is there are some that should play that role, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot that's not the role that you're gonna play in one another's lives. So a lot of times we become so focused on this predetermined role that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Looking for if you're X, Y, and Z, this age group, this financial space, and that's who I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And it's because it's Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So during those time frames, it was like, okay, this is who I'm looking for. Yeah. Well, and then you clock out and get on with your life. Now it's the weekend or the evening, and it's like, okay, this is the type of and if we go into every relationship with a period of discovery, and curiosity, a lot of times what we discover because of our curiosity ends up blowing our minds, and it a lot of times ends up being something much greater than we could have even constructed or thought through in our mind before meeting the person. Because when you have that relationship, this idea of synergy is it's only discovered when the relationship is discovered. When the relationship's predetermined, you're already predetermined the synergy, right? So like if I have a sales quota, and so the output that I'm trying to achieve that I'm not quite at, the synergy that I'm looking for is 8 clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going into each relationship trying to find who are the people to help me achieve this synergy. 8 clients, I'm going to achieve that. But if I go into it with a desire to discover what is the synergy of each relationship, what we might find out over time is that maybe it was 2 clients and 150 something else, or maybe it was in something else and 97 clients. Like just that curiosity and to discover the fullness of what the relationship could be, rather than to approach relationships for a predetermined limitation of what you want it to be. It's
moving away from transaction to the only thing I kept thinking of was to relationship, but I don't know it. I feel like that's not even the right term, because it's ultimately all relationship. But it's moving away from that. What can I get to what can I contribute?
Yeah. Well, I think business, for example, is a byproduct of relationship.
Yeah.
Like a company and organization, stuff like that. It is only as good as the relationship of the people that are part of it.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times we as people, we devalue, we don't see the value of what we are in relationship with one another. So like, so we want to have an awesome role that, like, okay, if I'm a CEO, or if I'm an entrepreneur, or if I'm a director, or if I'm a 10-year employee, I've been there for X, Y, and Z years. we think that that makes us more worth the relationship, or if we work for this company or that company. So you throw a doctor in front of your name, or you throw an MBA after your name, it's like that will add to it. Well, that might add to the value of the company or the organization, but it also oftentimes removes the value that is inherently there of the person. So sometimes we just, I feel like we tie ourselves to things that are things that we have created or that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Which to me is just not as valuable as you yourself. Like I feel like people and relationship is the gift.
Yeah.
Anything that the impact that the relationship creates beyond the relationship is amazing.
Yeah.
But if we're trying to put the cart before the horse, I'd say the horse is the relationship and the cart is, the business or what comes from the relationship. But I don't know if it's necessarily the rhythm of society right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's putting. Yeah, I lost my train of thought on that. It's looking at not who it's not defining yourself or somebody else by what they do, but by who they are.
Yeah,
and getting to know them for that.
Yeah, and believing that who you are is of value.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
A lot of times it's the who we are. We don't know the value of that.
Yeah.
So what we do is that thing of value.
Yeah.
And if they don't know that, they won't want the who I am because there's no value there. And
right.
It's just a lie that we have. So we've all bought and we still.
Right. So how do you within Synergize? I know you have the 430 meetups and the community groups. But for us, our community is within this space.
Yeah.
And this space is open for our members throughout the week and the weekend. So in some ways, community and relationships is hopefully part of what they're coming into.
Sure.
By being in a common area, common actual location. So for you guys, how do you and your members and those involved with Synergize build those relationships? Because you're coming from all over a region, not necessarily like us, where we're all in the same building.
Yeah. Well, for me, it comes down to being very clear in what it is that you offer. So Nexus Impact Center, primary thing that you guys offer is office space.
Yeah.
Right. So the primary thing that you are offering people is what is going to attract the people.
Yeah.
From there, then it's a discovery period of above and beyond the office space that they're looking for. Are there other common denominators of what they're looking for as well? And we might be able to help offer it here.
Yeah.
But it's not our primary offering. So that takes some relationship building to kind of get to the discovery point. You don't have to build a real relationship with somebody with Nexus to know if they are looking for an office space or not. If they come here, they say, hey, I'm looking for an office space. You're like, that's what we offer. And they pay for their office space and they come working here. You don't have to build the relationship to know that.
Yeah.
So that is now where you now then get to begin the journey of to discover if relationship in community is something they're also looking for or not.
Right.
With Synergize, it's much easier for us because our value proposition isn't an office space.
Yeah.
Our value proposition is a community of people who are approaching life, business, work, society in a relationship forward approach.
Yeah.
So some of the people who are looking for relationship and community and a place to kind of belong and to share stories and share ideas and to get to know each other better and to feel like you're not just one in a million, but you're one that people want to see and know and learn about and build a friendship with. Nobody joins Synergize if they're not looking for closer relationships, meaningful interactions, and impact-driven opportunities, because those are kind of our pillars: relationships over everything and ripple of impact. And then our role is no jerks. So jealousy, egos, racism, knucklehead, selfishness, stuff like that.
Oh, that actually, I didn't realize that actually stood for something.
It didn't.
Okay.
It started from Jason Alm. My friend,
That's awesome.
Jason Alm just started with like, I like to get to know everyone as long as they're not jerks.
Yeah.
And so that kind of became the thing. And then when Rashad joined Synergize, he came to some events and was watching. He goes, I get the no jerks now. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like jealousy, egos, racism, knucklehead, selfishness. Like, that's just not part of and welcome to Synergize. And it's like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, I didn't know.
Thanks, Rashad.
I didn't know exactly what it meant either, but now we both do.
That's awesome.
And I would have taken credit for it, but in case he watches this,
That's true.
Yeah, I don't want to start off episode 1 with lying and getting. Well, again, I don't mind lying, just not getting caught for it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things, just kind of like your what is that thing I said you were earlier? You don't want to start off with hypocrisy on it,
right? That's funny.
But yeah, so a lot of times it's the discovery period where you get to discover beyond what. So yeah,
that's interesting, because I actually was thinking of it the opposite, where it was easier for Nexus and harder for Synergize because of the common space. But that makes sense. Where you guys are coming, that is something that we have to work on a little bit more, because of they all have impact, but what they're searching for isn't necessarily. They might say that's community in some way, but in relationships, but that might not. Their actions might not show that, because they're in their office and they might not have that interaction as much. Whereas you guys, they're coming for that interaction and that specific relationship building.
Yeah. So that would, it would be similar to like if I was like, man, with Synergize, we really like, we already have everybody who's part of Synergize, like they're all part of Synergize because they really value relationship and getting to know one another.
Yeah.
But we really want to try to create a community of people who want office spaces, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody who is looking for community is going to look for an office space.
Right.
Just like with you guys, not everybody who was needing an office space is going to look for friendship and community.
Yeah.
But some might.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing is like where you can find like, so like with Nexus and Synergize, I don't want to get into the office space business. I don't want to have to run a building or property, anything like this, but there's a time for it that I need it. And there's also people in my network or friendships that I build that they might need it. So, being able to have the relationship with Nexus allows Synergize now to be able to offer a relationship forward community for people that are looking for that. But because of our relationship with Nexus, we can also offer opportunities for people who are looking for office space through our friends at Nexus, and vice versa, right?
Right.
And it's that desire to not always be the not to have to be the person who solves every problem for everybody. Yeah. But be that person who has relationships and likes to share them and see one another achieve what they're looking for. And like one of my favorite things is not like I'm more passionate about helping people find the relationships that help shape their life and improve their life and help them grow into who they're meant to be. I desire that more than I desire to talk to people and tell them that Synergize is a membership in an organization you should be part of. Yeah. Because to me, the only reason somebody should be part of Synergize through a membership is so that they have a place to where they can find and build the relationships they're looking for. Yeah. So if I can connect people and they can build those relationships and not have to become part of an organization and hope to find those, then that's what I should do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not everybody knows that they're ready for that. They're sometimes just curious, like,
Yep.
hey, what is, like, they're just curious about, like, what if networking was about building more personal friendship and trying to make a difference in the world?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it starts with curiosity. Well, Synergize is a great place if maybe not if you're already convinced that that's the right rhythm of life, but you're just curious of, like, could that rhythm be a little bit more what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Synergize is a place for those that are curious, and gives them an opportunity to connect, collaborate with one another, and to create the life and the organization and the community that they desire to be a part of.
Yeah.
Synergize itself doesn't create it. We create the space for those who want to find one another and to create those types of lives and companies and communities for them to find each other so that they can.
Yeah.
Same with me. Like, I'm the founder of Synergize, but I'm actually the discoverer of Synergize. Like, I've not fully found it yet. I'm still searching for it. Right. So, like, in our relationship, I could be the founder of an organization, and the organization is like, that's cool. I'm a searcher, and I'm still curious, and I'm a discoverer of relationship. So if just because I have a company now that does that, doesn't mean that I should ever stop doing. I've never arrived, right?
Yeah.
So, like, premarital counseling gets you prepared for marriage.
Yeah.
Once you begin marriage, premarital counseling doesn't get you prepared for everything of marriage. Just lay the foundation, and then within your marriage, you've never arrived. It's never like on the day that you say I do. That doesn't mean that you have become who you need to grow into becoming in that marriage on year 4, year 8, or year 37. It means I do and I will choose to become that alongside of you because you are worth it.
Yeah.
And with relationships, I believe that when we begin a relationship and we say, yeah, I do want to build a relationship. I do want a life where I'm more deeply connected and supportive and supported and known and giving others the opportunity to be known. That's a choice.
Yeah.
And it's not making that choice or that decision. It's a daily choice. Same with the company. Anybody who wants to build a company that is, because of this company, now our employees have community and a place to belong. And okay, but you as the company owner, you've got to show up every day and set that example of that place. And then the employees have to show up every day and build it and learn and grow and create that culture together. Because if they don't, then it's a hope that you have as the leader, but it's not a reality that's ever discovered and experienced by those that you're trying to create.
Yeah.
So it requires all of us to do to our parts. When you look at, like, politics, right? You got the left, it's like, we want unity. The right's like, we want unity. Yeah, the left wants unity if everyone from the right becomes unified with the left, and the right wants unity if everyone from the left becomes unified with the right. That's a utopia that's never going to happen. It'll always breed division. So to truly desire unity would mean to, okay, then I will choose to listen and understand and know those who aren't on the same side as me.
Yeah.
And it takes it from both sides. And when they begin to do that, you start to discover the relationship between you and them.
Yeah.
And then the things that used to divide us are our perspectives and our point of views, that because of my perspective and my point of view and your perspective and your point of view, it prevented us from relationship. When you build that relationship, your opposing perspectives and opposing point of views won't prevent you from relationship, because you've already discovered the thing that matters. And now the point of views and perspectives become not the primary purpose, to become supporting facts.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, it's like when we put relationship over everything as it is our primary purpose of each day, is to begin new relationships and to strengthen and improve upon the ones that we currently have. When that becomes the primary purpose, of you and another human being, the rest of it will all work out. That the relationship itself doesn't just work out. We have to work that part out.
Yeah.
And the rest of it will work out. But a lot of times we think that it's the other stuff that won't just work out. So we focus on working on that.
Right.
And we forfeit the one responsibility that's each of ours.
Yes.
That's the way I see it, though. I also might have some, I'm not fully diagnosed, but I might also be delusional or something like that. To me, that's the way that I see it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, even if it does,
but I mean,
oh,
the other
what else you want to talk about?
Oh man, well, I'm excited for just the opportunity to focus on our organizations, but those in our organizations, I think even more so.
Yeah.
Because you and I, as we've developed our friendship and our relationship, and just being able to sit and challenge each other and even from that, realizing the different organizations that we're a part of and going, there's something here. So even this podcast is one of those that is an outcome of relationship. And
yeah, I'm not a podcaster. Yeah, I'm just a friendship builder. Are you not?
You're not a podcaster?
No, I mean,
I've been on one or two before, but yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. But
yeah, I'm excited to see what is the possibilities of what's going to come from this, and as people get to know the different members that we bring on and the work that they're doing, I'm hoping for inspiration. I'm hoping for just the possibility of people reaching out and going, I need to talk to them. I want to get to know them. They do something similar to what my passion is, or and that passion might not even be the same work, but just the way that they present and who they are, that exudes in what they talk about, can be a catalyst or a magnet to some people going, there's somebody I want to get to know. And so seeing that and seeing those possibilities come from this is, I think, exciting.
Yeah. I think it requires the people to be at the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Not, and I don't mean same place like proximity,
right?
But the same place in where they're at, in their mind or heart or interests, to where a lot of times when somebody is really wants to help those around them, they live that out, and those that are around them will see that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what they begin to believe is those that come around them are around them because they share that interest to want to help those around them.
Yeah.
But what a lot of times happens is those who just want to take from those around them, they will see the opportunity because, wow, this is a giver, taker. I need to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people can put on that perspective or that image that they truly are a giver and trying to help those around them, but enough that they ensure that they always get more than what they give. And that's the way the marketplace operates. Business 101, maximize your ROI,
right?
Your return on investment. From the very beginning, with the marketplace, it exists to always be at a scarcity and a deficit because it's about contributing. But as long as I get more than what I give.
Yeah.
So you're already setting the collective idea of marketplace as a scarcity or a net negative. With Synergize, we call ROI is not return on investment, but ripple of impact. Right. So at the very beginning, if it's all about the impact I can make and the ripple that produces, you're adding a net positive to the marketplace rather than creating a net negative at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then when everybody is living out that ripple of impact type method, then there's always an abundance for those around them. And so nobody goes out.
Yeah.
But those who believe that they're already at a disadvantage or a net negative or a scarcity thinking, they will see that and they'll want to come participate so that they can get. And as soon as you have too many of those takers in there ends up being the givers end up running dry. So with Synergize, that no jerk rule kind of thing, it's kind of to focus on those who want to be contributors to relationship, adders of relationship, adders to value, adders to impact, adders to the goodness in the marketplace and society. Whether it's whether you have a little to offer or a lot to offer, it's always a community of people who are offering. And with Synergize, we don't try to force anybody into anything. Like we appreciate everyone where they're at along their journey. And if they're not into this perspective of like, you know what, relationship truly does matter, and it's worth discovery. If that's not the mindset or the place where somebody is at as an individual, I'd never try to like, hey, give me your money and join this thing, because it's not the right fit.
Right.
Same with Nexus, right? So you guys have office spaces. So if somebody is like, you know, honestly, I don't need an office space for anything. It's like, it don't matter. You should buy one anyways. You're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But you guys have other offerings as well.
Yeah.
So the people who maybe have offices, they're the ones that they value having an office. That's what they're looking for. So they're contributing funds so that they can have that office.
Yeah.
And those funds create to where you've got spaces where you can do other events.
Right.
So those who don't necessarily need an office space, but they want to participate in some events, you can now offer that to them. Or then if there's a nonprofit that is maybe, or somebody with an idea that wants to get a nonprofit off the ground or help make an impact or make a difference, but they don't even know where to begin, you've got a space where they and others can come collaborate and take an idea into something that, so it's like you're kind of hitting people at all levels. Everyone's got different wants, interests, and needs and stuff, but and it's okay that everybody's aren't the same as one another. But iron sharpening iron and stuff like that is like when you're at a spot where serving others, like with Nexus Impact, at its core, you said it's in your name. It's you guys. Impact is a huge pillar to why you guys even exist. But you've got to remember a time when impact was maybe something that you had no interest in. A lot of times we forget about the times where we were these little selfish, narcissistic pieces of crap. At some point in our journey, we have grown beyond thinking about only us into actually seeing how we play a part in a bigger picture of others as well. And once we've gotten there, we can't turn our nose down upon the people who acted like children, because we did as well.
And that typically happens from some type of experience that that caught your heart. And so how can we in what each of us are doing, and then those within our members, how we can help them create those moments of impact for others. Those moments of that aha moment, or that catalyst of change, whatever that impact moment where it's like, wow, it just hits you different. You start seeing things different, and change happens.
It reshapes your belief. It reshapes. So we each have our own perspectives. And it's the only one we have, right? I have my perspective. I don't have yours. I only have mine. You only have yours. You don't have mine.
Right.
My wife has hers. Every human being is born into being trapped within their own perspective, because it's the only one that they have. A lot of times when we believe that we are who we are is a byproduct of our perspective, a lot of times we associate our perspective to our identity. So when a teacher or a coach or a parent or a boss or a colleague or a friend or somebody on the other side of the aisle in politics, whatever it is, challenges our perspective, we believe that, well, if our perspective isn't fully right or acknowledged or affirmed, then then that means there's something wrong with me. So I've got to defend it at all costs.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, I'm the same way. Like we all are. It's the human condition.
Yeah.
Is to be addicted to your perspective and to hope, maybe not even hope, but to believe that you're right. And the times that have been the most transformational in my life have been where I believe that I'm right.
Yeah.
And I have discovered that I was wrong.
Right.
And
Yep.
when I experienced that discovery of, man, I was actually wrong, and I learned this, most of the time I've been like, thank God I was wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times but the thing is, most of the things that I've not wanted to be wrong about or thought that I was right about, and I've hung on and hung on and hung on, when I have allowed myself to discover that I'm limited to my perspective and not the full picture, and I've grown into, I've been able to grow beyond the limitations of who I thought I was or where I thought I was based on the constraints of my own perspective.
Yeah.
And each season, each time that happens, it's like, wow, I'm actually happy that I was wrong.
Yeah.
Because I was limited when I was wrong,
Yeah.
And it starts super early, like a little kid, like a baby laying on its stomach, ga ga goo goo ga ga goo goo, watching everyone walking around, but they don't think that they can walk.
Yeah.
And you got a parent or somebody who is very patient with them and believes that they'll be able to walk before they even know that it's possible.
Yeah.
And that parent, the patience and that being there for it, trying to help your child over and over and over, and they keep falling. And like sometimes they even give up. They're like, yeah, it hurts when you fall.
Yeah.
And then as a baby, we're in the spot like, I'm not even going to try anymore.
Right.
And thank God that we each have been given a parent or somebody that doesn't accept our defeat that we've allowed ourselves to believe about ourselves.
Yeah.
And eventually we get to a spot where we start walking.
Yeah.
But then when we start walking, we start running. Now, my youngest son's 9, right? Everything's a race to him. He wants to beat everyone,
Yeah.
And
that sounds about right.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's fine. Right? Yeah. But when he gets around a baby, he is actually really, really, really good at, hey, you can do it. You can do it. He can be around someone his age, and it is so competitive. He's not cheering them on. He's not trying to help them. He's like grabbing their shirt, pulling them back. He just wants to win, because you see life as a competition.
Yeah.
But when you encounter somebody that can't even compete on your level, you want to help them get better. As a parent, you start to learn that as like, you're out playing basketball with some friends, and it's like, it's super competition, but you don't bring that same type of dominance and that desire to, when you're teaching your son to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
You actually are, wow, you're getting really good. Wow. Oh, keep practicing. Oh, let me tell you something. You're shooting better than I was at your age. And you're encouraging people because you're trying to help them get better.
Yeah.
And my big frustration a lot of times with how we go about life and business and community in our day-to-day is we forget a lot of times that where other people are, we were there as well. And it took somebody that saw us there and invited us into growing to where we are now. And then we become so, okay, well, now that I'm here, I can do this, and we're trying to get to that next step. And that next step, a lot of times we forget that we're only to where we've gotten now because of the relationships around us that have helped us get there. So we're not helping that next generation of people. And it was pointless that anyone helped us because there's no ripple to that impact.
Right.
So a lot of times I see relationship kind of as soil. And in relationships and investment. So when you're investing into relationship, there are two things are true that I've learned. One, relationship is the toughest, suckiest, most terrible thing in the freaking world. And there'll be times where it's like, relationship sucks. I hate it. And I don't even know why I do this. And then that is true. The other thing that is true is relationship is the most amazing, life-changing, life-giving, fulfilling thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of times the sucky part of it, we experience so much of that that we give up on the belief that relationship is that transformational thing that can take us from rock bottom to a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Because it's the very thing that can also take you from a sense of belonging to rock bottom. And so I've been at rock bottom and I've had a sense of belonging. And for about 25 years of my life, I robbed that sense of belonging from everyone around me and found myself and others found themselves at rock bottom because of relationship with me.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, I discovered relationship that took me from rock bottom to a sense of belonging. And it changed it. I was so thankful. And I got to rock bottom because I thought I was right about everything.
Yeah.
Because I was addicted to my own perspective. And when I discovered that I was wrong about everything, it was that, thank God I was wrong. And it changed, it literally transformed and changed me. And so my mission, what or my calling of why I wake up every day is I know that there are so many people that have experienced the crap of relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe so much that they don't even know or believe or even understand that relationship is also the source of healing.
Yeah.
Because it's very much the source of hurt.
Yeah.
So it'd be like with fires, like you get burnt with fire. It's not like, oh, let me try that again. Well, yeah, but at the same time, when you start to see it and learn it, you begin to learn relationship, not just be a victim of it.
Right.
Or make others a victim of it because they have it with you, but you actually become curious about it and you want to discover and learn it in a way that you can use it for good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
exactly.
That's what that to me, that's relationship is that point where it can transform things.
Yeah.
And that was like what you were talking about is like the moments where people, it changes, it changes everything. Maybe it doesn't change everything in the whole world, but it changes everything in your world.
Yeah. And having experienced the negative aspect of relationship.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could have never become friends with me.
I mean, but I think having experienced that, you know what it feels like, and you want to. I think that helps you strive for something more, strives for the healthy, and so a healthy relationship is you're working through those things. You're working through that. Hey, I'm sorry, I messed up. I made you feel this way. You made me feel this way. Let's work through that.
Yeah.
And come out on top. And, I mean, that's relationships has its ups and downs. We're all people, we're all broken. And, but to see it as a healthy, or to see a healthy relationship, you have to come around to the, let's come back to the forgiveness. Let's come back to the helping. Let's come back to putting you above myself.
Yeah.
And being able to move forward in that, I think is a huge thing.
Yeah. And exactly what you just said. When your journey of life has gotten you to that point where I'm gonna choose forgiveness. I'm gonna choose a healthy relationship. I'm gonna choose to put you above myself. That is the very thing that a lot of times when we're walking that journey, we're not walking with others who share that same interest.
Right.
And that's where we get hurt.
Yep.
And getting to that spot where we're aware enough, like where we are aware enough that not everybody is in relationship for you. A lot of times they're in it for just themselves.
Yeah.
And starting to see like, well, either I can become like everyone else that's hurt me and I can do life and relationship where it's about me because that's what I've experienced.
Right.
You're not going to hurt me anymore. You're not going to beat me up anymore. I'm going to now be that person that does that to protect myself.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times we become that problem. But if we can remain that like we're meant to be, but then seek out to help others become that person who's forgiving in their relationship, puts others before themselves. When you help others learn to become that, and you do life with people who are like that as well, you and they will grow to a new capacity of that.
Yeah.
A new capacity of that. And you get to discover how awesome it is, how much greater life is when you're living in that rhythm of relationship. But also, we have to understand that some people who aren't living in that rhythm, it's because they've not experienced it and they've not been taught it and shown it. So we get to be that person that comes alongside of them,
right,
and teaches them and shows them, hey, it is here. And that's what at Synergize. At Synergize, I'm not going to tell everybody that the marketplace is the place where you'll be accepted.
Yeah.
And that you'll find real, authentic relationships that are supportive of you and that encourage you and help you become your best version. I'm not going to say that about the whole marketplace,
right,
because I don't know. That may be bad advice, but I can say that at Synergize, you can.
Yeah.
And you may not be able to anywhere else. You may not be able to at your home. You may not be able to at your favorite restaurant. You may not be able to at another network. I can't speak for where all you can, but I do know one place that you can.
Yeah.
And that's within Synergize. But it only remains that if I remain walking in that rhythm within Synergize, and those who are part of it remain walking in that rhythm within Synergize. Because the environment, the atmosphere is only a byproduct of what the people and the relationships itself produce. So that's where some companies and stuff, they've had such a great reputation, and then for years, then they have a couple of years with a terrible reputation. It's like, what happened? It's the same company. It's the same company. No. Maybe the company's the same, but the people, their methods, the way that they do it, the way that they treat one another. Some people, some companies are great because it's all about, we exist to serve those in our community. And that's what gets them going. They've got a great reputation, but then sometimes things happen and now they exist to achieve as much as they can from their community. And if their reputation twists, it doesn't mean that the product or service is any different.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the rhythm of the relationship that they operate in within that company now.
Right. Yep.
With Nexus Impact, all office spaces, not every office, people come to Nexus for two reasons. One is they desire office space, but two is they desire to give back to their community and make a difference. And they want to be in a community of others who also desire the same.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get made fun of for doing the right thing, or people are bragging and excited about a different thing and you don't really fit in. So there may be some office spaces out there that they go to grab water or a drink or talk to somebody, and it's all about like how much money I made last quarter and what I've achieved or how great our salespeople are. Look how fast we're growing. Yeah. And then here it may be a place where it's like, tell me about the impact that you serve. Why are you passionate about that? That actually makes me want to serve my impact even more. And it's more of that. Is it a ripple of impact type of culture, or is it a return and self-focused type of culture? And you could offer the exact same thing, but the people who are part of that environment determine the temperature and the rhythm of what that culture is.
Yeah. I think that's a great segue to coming back to what we want to do on this podcast is bring in those people, in those people from Synergize, bring in those people from Nexus, and hear from, learn from, be inspired by, and hopefully build relationship with. Hopefully you can build relationships with them as well as with us, and just allow their stories to be heard, the stories that the impact that they have to be heard as well. So we want to invite you to continue to join us. And we're excited for where this is going to go.
Yeah. I think this podcast will be a great platform for people to to share their perspectives
Yeah.
that they are, 'cause like I said, all of us have our own perspectives and we're limited to it. And it is our sense of our world.
Yeah.
So on a podcast like this, when we give you a space to share your perspective, what ends up happening is there may be people who have their own perspective and it's different. And by them learning someone else's perspective on this podcast, it may help them see and understand that I actually believe that that perspective may be right and mine may be wrong. So you get to learn from others while listening. But also at the same time, if you're somebody who's watching and you love to help people grow in positive ways and they're sharing their perspective, and like with me, when I share my perspective on things, I'm looking for two things. One, who can benefit from my perspective? Because I've grown and gotten to a spot where it has become my perspective. So if I can share that and it helps someone else grow in their perspective, praise God.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I'm also limited by my perspective.
Yeah.
So when I can just talk freely, and not have to be right, but be honest and real, people can hear that. And somebody who might be able to be like, hey, you shared this on the podcast and I do see where you're coming from, but you're actually wrong. And I just want to explain to you why and try to help. I've got the mindset I'm forever a student. My perspective is constantly evolving and growing. It's never gotten to where it needs to be, but it's a work in progress. So I can't speak for you. You may cry if somebody's like, you're wrong. But with me, I may cry as well. But I would rather cry and grow than to not cry and stay ignorant.
Yeah.
Like this guy. Because we can't have two ignorant people on this podcast.
It's true.
So, all right. Anything else?
Awesome. Yeah. See you next time.
Peace out, Girl Scout.